Welcome back. This is the Alpha Evolution, where we learn about game, seduction, and healthy masculinity. I'm your host, Coach Justin. And you're probably wondering why I'm wearing my jujitsu gi today. Well, that's because it's symbolic. It's symbolic of what is going on in the game when you've got game and how it feels. All right. So, when you're rolling in jujitsu, and I know it's become a very popular sport for all kinds of people to study. When you first get into it, you struggle. You have a lot of resistance. Okay, and what does that look like? It's kind of like you're wrestling with your ego instead of with technique, right? Because you're afraid of being choked out. You're afraid of being locked out, and your ego and pride wants to take place of what you're trying to do. Okay, which is you're trying to submit your partner, right? Your rolling partner, or your opponent, or your competitor, whatever situation you're in. But here's the thing: when you're first starting out, you don't really know any techniques. Maybe you know a couple here and there, but it's like you don't know enough, so you rely on brute strength, your instincts, which are all messed up for the world of jiu-jitsu, right? Jiu-jitsu instincts are completely different than your natural instincts. You have to retrain your instincts. So your natural instincts are all fucked up. You're using brute strength, and it's being fueled by your ego and your desire not to lose. And this will put you in compromising positions, and you won't even know it. So if you've got somebody who's rolling with you who has years of experience on you, or shit, even months experience on you, and you're just starting out, this person will know exactly what you're going to do. They know where you're going to be when they apply certain stress or pressure. And that's either physical pressure or even psychological pressure on you on one place. And they know that that will cause an opening in another place that you will simply walk into. All right. And when you got game, you already know what's going to happen. Similar to a brown belt rolling with a white belt. They just know. They know they've been through it so many times in their head and with other people that when it pops up, it's no problem. They're able to stay calm. They're able to stay collected. They know what's going to happen. Their breathing is regulated. They're not getting all, right? Their heart rate is totally chill. And the same thing applies when you've got game, when you have expressed yourself to yourself enough to where you know what's going to happen. You've interacted with enough women to know what the hell is going to happen. You're no longer just, just throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. Okay. Because in the world of combat sports, you really can't do that. But here's the trick. It's funny. It's a strange double-edged inverse sword. Okay, let me try to explain this. So in jiu-jitsu, you have enough experience to where, let's say you have enough experience where you know what's going to happen. When you do this, another thing will happen. If you apply pressure here, it will create an opening over there. Okay. However, you can't stay locked with those thoughts because that by staying locked in a position, even mentally, that will cause you to lose. So while you have all this experience and almost predictability, you have to maintain a position of openness, of being able to adapt and be flexible with whatever comes. And the same thing applies with game. And that's the problem that The PUA community and all those goofy lines and all that shit is the problem with canned stuff is that when the canned stuff comes across an outcome that's unexpected, they don't know what to do. And that's the difference between someone who's got game and somebody who's just studied PUA nonsense. All right? Game is about developing the skills, but then also remaining open to whatever happens. And you've got enough confidence in yourself and you've experienced enough, but you're not going to sit there and go, oh, this is going to happen. Because frankly, you don't know. You really don't know that that's exactly what's going to happen. You're open to it. You're flexible. You flow. And you're not in your head, right? Because the same sort of thing happens in jiu-jitsu or any other combat sports for that matter. If you are stuck in your mind about your technique and what you're trying to get out of the situation or if you're trying to force an outcome, you're likely going to fail. And every fighter, every person who sees this, who's ever fought in a, I don't know how it applies to street fighting, but if they've ever fought within any sort of organized combat situation, you'll know that if you've got a plan and you stick too hard to that plan or that technique or trying to pull something off, likely you're going to fail. So I bring this up because I see a lot of guys, even on this side of the street, of these YouTube streets, guys trying to copy a lot of stuff, right? They're trying to learn lines. They're trying to learn what to say and how to say it. And I get it. One of the most painful things to deal with, maybe not painful, but produces some anxiety, is having a blank page, right? Let's say you're writing something or you're painting a picture or drawing a picture. Having that blank slate can cause some people anxiety because you don't know how to start. But once it gets started, then you can start rolling with it and you can get into the process. So I get that. I get that a lot of guys are coming onto this side of the YouTube streets and trying to pick up little things that they can put to use very quickly. And what you're going to find when you do that is you'll get success, but it's not going to really go far. And that's the problem. You're still dealing with things on a surface level at that point. You're still dealing with her on that level. And that's why it's really important to get past that level. It's really important to get past that level of understanding. Like Bruce Lee, he had a really great quote about learning Kung Fu, right? And he said, when you're a beginner, a punch is just a punch and a kick is just a kick. And then he said, when you're intermediate and when you know the art, a punch is more than a punch and a kick is more than a kick, right? Because the beginner, he doesn't know shit. So he's just like, it's just these movements or whatever. But the intermediate guy or someone who has really learns the art and whatever it is, they look deeply into it and they're analyzing stuff and things, and they get into angles and power and weight distribution and all the technical stuff. Okay. But then the master now just views it as a punch is just a punch and a kick is just a kick because they've let go of all of those attachments. They let go of the concepts. They let go of the figures. They let go of the angles and meaning and, this is historical for this art form and this, that, and the other, and political stuff. And just a lot of the crap that a lot of people get into when it comes to the world of martial arts. They let all that go. And a punch is just a punch and a kick is just a kick, right? So when you're in here, you look at game and you're like, what's game? Like, it's just, what, talking to women? What? I don't get it, right? And then when you learn about game, you realize that it goes way deeper than you could ever possibly imagine. And then as you kind of climb through that and work out of that, you get higher and higher up, and things, those details become less and less distinct, right? Like they become a little less in focus. And then you realize that talking is just talking. You're not necessarily trying to flirt anymore. You just talk. And sometimes she feels that energy coming from you, but you're not purposely trying to, right? Because part of the game is really understanding who you are on a sexual, on a sensual, on an erotic level, on an intimate level. And when you get that relationship, when you combine that with not really caring what other people think, and you prioritize what you think, you prioritize gaining your own approval above anyone else's. It's at that point when you're able to express who that is without fear, without judgment, without anxiety. And that's when you can actually flirt, but it's no longer flirting at that point. You're just talking, much like the master in the Kung Fu. He's not punching, he's just punching, if that makes any sense. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is this concept that I hear, or these phrases that I hear. They say, "Oh, well, Justin and a number of other people on these YouTube streets, they say that the game has nothing to do with women." All right. Shout out to Steve the Dean. Says this all the time. And of course, he's absolutely right. The game has nothing to do with women. So that's like, I came to that understanding like on the end of the intermediate, when you're learned on the art. At first, when you get into the intermediate, you think, oh my gosh, look at how I can affect people with my behavior, with my words, with the change of how I feel about myself, with the change in my mindsets and my perception of reality. And it's kind of like in that movie They Live with Roddy Piper. You should check out that movie. It's an old cult classic, alien flick. But he gets these glasses and he can put them on, and now he can see who are aliens and who are regular people, because without the glasses, they all just look like humans. And you put on these special glasses, you can see who are the aliens. So at the beginning of the intermediate level, you get these glasses and you think it's a big deal. And you're like, wow, I'm really able to affect people very genuinely. And then that becomes a focus because you realize that you can influence women. But then after some time in that, you come to understand an even greater awareness that it has nothing to do with them. That's just something that happens due to learning game. That's not game. That's not about it. But here's the thing. Guys are like, well, if the game has nothing to do with women, why are you making so many videos about women? I mean, you can go on all sorts of YouTube channels that say very similar things. And they say the game's not about women. Yet you look at their videos and it's all about women. And I'll tell you why. The reason why is that an interaction with a woman is almost like a microcosm of experiencing yourself in the world. And you get very fast turnaround. Okay? So, for instance, let's say you were interested in picking up a sport. All right. Let's say it's jiu-jitsu. Okay. You get into jiu-jitsu for a little while, and it's going to take you some time before you realize that the sport is for you or it's not for you. It's going to take you a little bit. Some people, they'll know right away, but I would say for most people, it'll take them a little while and they're like, you know what? I want to try Muay Thai. I want to try boxing. I want to try Greco-Roman wrestling. Or they want to do something else completely different, right? No combat sports whatsoever. The thing is with women is that you get an immediate return. Well, provided you're paying attention. You get an immediate return on whether you are doing things right, in the sense that you've got good game, you've got a good understanding of game, you're living good game, or you're not, right? And it's very obvious, it's very apparent when a woman is on your shit because she sees you as something that is rare, and she sees you as something that I can't get anywhere else, because this man isn't like these dudes that I've dealt with before. Either the really crass and vulgar guys who are too much on the side of not giving a shit, right? Or on the other side of just being way too nice, way too kind, to the point of it being creepy. And then she gets to experience a real man who doesn't really fall into these coins, right? Because those guys are two sides of the same coin. He's got his own fucking coin. And she's like, wow, this is rare. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect for every single woman. No, it's not going to happen. You could be the best guy in the world. You could be fucking Superman. You could have the best game on the planet. You could have fucking Batman level skills when it comes to game. But not everyone's going to like that. But when you're at that level, you don't care. You understand that life has a balance, it has a flow, right? Not every lion is going to catch every single zebra out there on the Serengeti. It's just not how nature works. So don't think by learning this stuff, by going through the process of learning yourself and developing that crucial relationship, that you're no longer going to fail. Quite the contrary. You're going to put yourself in even more situations to fail. But here's the thing, you now will have a different attitude when it comes to it. You will embrace it because you know that when you fail, you learn. Whereas the other motherfuckers, they're afraid of that. They run away from that because it hurts their ego. Your ego doesn't care. In fact, you put your ego to work for you. But those other guys, your average dude, he is absolutely afraid of failure. He's afraid of the pain. He doesn't embrace it. He runs away from it. And that's why he will forever have problems with women. But a man with game realizes that the more women he talks to, the more not only he learns about her, but more importantly, he learns about himself. He learns about who he is when he's in front of a woman. And it's such a fantastic test. It's a fantastic test of the self. Because men can say all day long that they're calm and relaxed and confident, and they can handle themselves with women, and they've been with X amount of partners and they know what's going on. But the only real way, the only proof of what the hell is going on inside them is when they're standing in front of a woman in physical space. I'm not talking about online. Get that bullshit out of here. I'm saying when you see a woman across the way and you go talk to her and you let her know and you give her a little taste of who you are and you say, hey, this is what's going on with me. You caught my attention. Do you want some of this? It's basically what you're doing. But if you are afraid of that, you're never going to grow. You're never going to actually learn yourself. That's why all of this shit is about women, because it is a fast track to learning you. I mean, look at this. Fucking Buddhist monks spend decades meditating and going over, deep conceptual stuff and sutras and old texts and practices and rites and all these things just to learn themselves. When what's humorous is that you bring yourself in front of a woman and you are open. You are open. You allow the pain to come through. You are non judgmental of the things you need to learn that come from that pain, that come from those L's. You become like a rocket through self development. You don't have to spend decades sitting there meditating and chanting and breathing incense. These situations, provided you are open and non judgmental of yourself, it will transform you faster than you could possibly imagine. But none of that will happen if you stay right here on YouTube, trying to gain confidence, trying to learn through, video osmosis. It will never happen for you. Never. It's never going to happen for you, son. The only way is to get out and talk to people as much as possible. And in those people, mix in women that you're attracted to. So that's all I got to say about that. I hope it was informative. Now you understand why dudes in the game talk about women so much when the game has nothing to do with women. I hope that made sense. And I'll be back again. Hope to see you around. Take care. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Send it to your loved ones. And let me know what you thought down in the comments. Peace.